We're ready for the start. They're off.
And good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in. If it's Friday, it's time for our First Call podcast. Jeff Siegel, Jeremy Plonk representing First Bet and Express Bet. We've got 8 stakes races we take a look at each weekend. And Jeff, we've had a lot of Saratoga and Del Mar over the course of the last 6-7 weeks. Now we're into a broad new spectrum, and we go north of the border this weekend as Woodbine is in the spotlight.
Great card at Woodbine. Of course, the Woodbine Mile, $1 million race there, and a win and you're in. So outstanding program there. Churchill has some very good racing there as well. And then Belmont at Aqueduct. It's not Belmont. It's Belmont at Aqueduct. So we will I don't know why they have to say Belmont. It's Aqueduct. That's where they're racing. So, anyway. So we've got a couple of good stakes races there for grass 3-year-olds. So we will dive in and see if we can pick a good percentage of winners and make some money this week.
Los Alamitos takes over the Southern California circuit for the next couple weeks before we get to Santa Anita as they turn towards October. Santa Anita, of course, going to have a big fall meet with all the Breeders' Cup preps on the West Coast, and great action to come there. Racing at Golden Gate, at the Maryland Jockey Club, at Pimlico this weekend, and of course at Gulfstream Park as well across the first family of racetracks. So a lot of good racing action for you. It's closing weekend at Canterbury. It's been a great first year working together with Canterbury as the official app of Canterbury Park. First Bet, good stakes races coming up this weekend at Canterbury. Just had the handicapping tournament the other night, the Canterbury Big Ten Challenge. So a lot of great things going on there in Minnesota. One last chance to play them on Saturday night with their closing card, and a lot of transition in racing this time of year as tracks and meets are closing and opening as we hit the month of September. Let's get to our handicapping for the weekend. As we showed you our stakes schedule, we've got 3 races from Churchill Downs that we're going to take a look at: the Locust Grove, the Iroquois, and the Pocahontas. Jeff, also want to mention that at Churchill Downs, a race we're not going to look at, the Open Mind Stakes is one of the races on the undercard of this big program with 5-6 stakes races, 5, I believe, at Churchill Downs. But the Open Mind, we're not going to handicap it because it's a 2-horse race and it's not necessarily a great betting opportunity. But Sconton and Bell's the one getting after it for the 6th time. I mean, that's more than we had Rocky sequels, I think.
Maybe it's the best of 7. I don't know. Like a 7-game series there, and I haven't checked exactly who's got the edge because they kind of take turns. But it's still a good race. I know people are familiar with these 2 really good sprinting mares, and we'll see which one can turn the tables on the other one. It's fun to see a rivalry like that, and they all seem to always fire their best shots. So it's maybe not a great gambling race, as you mentioned, but a really interesting race to watch.
And the Open Mind will prep them for the TCA at Keeneland, where we can see round 7, that 7th game, as you're talking about. Maybe we'll see them even before the Breeders' Cup matching up again. Let's go to our first handicapping exercise of the week, though. It's the Locust Grove at Churchill Downs, again, a part of that 5 stakes program on Saturday under the Twin Spires, a field of 6 going in the Locust Grove Stakes. And Jeff, this is a grade 3 race, $400,000, big purse money on the line for the quality of field. You've got Envoutante in here, Crazy Beautiful, a couple Kenny McPeak stablemates taking center stage. Where'd you go in this Locust Grove?
These are mares that know each other, played hard, I should say, as run against Crazy Beautiful. She was actually even money against her last year when they met, and then but Crazy Beautiful won that race by a neck. I think Played Hard might be better now than she was then. Envoutante, by the way, the contender as well. I mean, she's certainly good enough on her best day. And 4 wins from 7 lifetime starts at Churchill is hard to ignore. Yeah. Even though it looks like her last 2 races, or the only 2 races she's had this year, below form, but she could step forward, and Crazy Beautiful is always dangerous coming out of a series of tougher races. But I ended up going with Played Hard. Maybe I'm swayed by this workout. This was a breeze since her last win. And I thought it was really good, September 4th. So it was a couple weeks back, but you can see her on the outside. She broke off several lengths behind the workmate who was being urged, and Played Hard is going to go on by just galloping along. And she went 59-4, and it looked like she wasn't even trying. So I think Played Hard now, a daughter of Into Mischief with only 11 starts, looks like she's coming into her own. And she did earn a career top buyer number in her last start when she won a good allowance race by a nose. But the runner-up, who was a good filly in her own right, Boston Post Road, she was 10 clear of everybody else. So that was a legitimate race, and Played Hard has won at Churchill Downs. Her form here is good. So I think if she can run back to her last race, albeit against a tougher group, I think Played Hard has a chance. And also the switch to Joel Rosario always catches my eye. So she's actually the second choice at 2-1. Crazy Beautiful at 9-5, and Envatant at 5-2. So they're all right there together.
Right.
And it's just a matter of who decides to run their best race. I'm banking on Played Hard to do just that.
Smaller fields tend to favor horses with some early pace about them. It's not as many horses taking shots at the front. Pace shouldn't be as wicked. You got Little Tootsie just inside of Played Hard. To me, it looks like they're the only two real pace players in here. So you never fear one in a speed duel, as they say. It takes, two or more to kind of soften somebody up many times. So you've got a horse Played Hard who's going to be part of the pace. If you put away Little Tootsie, I think you've got the McPeak horses to worry about late and the shot in there to win this thing on the front end in the Locust Grove Stakes. Let's go next on the program at Churchill Downs to race number 9 on the card. And 9th race on Saturday is the Iroquois for the 2-year-olds. Notable here that this is the first race of the Kentucky Derby points chase. The Iroquois Stakes kicks off that long series. Just announced today the full series for the Kentucky Derby points chase. And Jeff, I don't know if you saw this or not. It's pretty fresh, just really minutes before we record our podcast, that some of the 10-point races in the Kentucky Derby early season have been advanced to 20-point races. And then some of the 10s are still going to stay at 10. So a chance to accumulate a little more points earlier in the chase. Not the case necessarily here with the Pocahontas Stakes, but look, we're not looking for the Derby horse just quite yet. We're looking for a Breeders' Cup horse at this point. Who might we talk about here in the Pocahontas Stakes? Because we've got a horse that really has done as much as anybody in the East and Midwest through 2 starts in Damon's Mound, and then an exceptional debut winner, Echo Again at Saratoga. So is this a 2-horse race that we're looking at in the Iroquois?
Probably, although Jace's Road was visually very impressive when he won his race at Ellis Park. He won that race by 6, did it the right way. He's a quality road colt, so I wouldn't completely rule him out, although based on speed figures, he's going to have to step it up. But he's only run one time. We don't know what he can do. But you mentioned Echo Again and Damon's Mound. Damon's Mound won his maiden at Churchill, which was very positive, came back and justified the race by winning the Saratoga Special, beating Gulfport. Numbers-wise, though, in both of his races, he wasn't as fast as Echo Again was when Echo Again won his debut, and did it like a colt that not only would be a Breeders' Cup colt, but could be a Derby colt as well, being by Gunrunner and from the Steve Asmussen barn. He was amazingly impressive in that race, Echo Again. And even though he's drawn in the 9-hole, even though he's quick, I don't think he needs the lead to win. He may get it anyway. But his maiden win, was as impressive as any maiden winner I saw all Saratoga season. So I don't see any reason why he can't come right back and take this step up in class.
For those of you watching the podcast on YouTube and across social media channels, we're going to give you a chance to see Echo Again's last race. And for those of you listening on your usual audio podcast channels, you're going to hear the call of John Embrial here. Echo Again back on the debut August 20th at Saratoga.
Echo Again in front here, in front by 2, with Summon Your Courage giving chase. And now Echo Again quickly opens up here by 5, now by 6 lengths. Echo Again, very impressive in his debut. Echo Again, a 2-year-old son of Gunrunner, completed the 6.5 furlongs in 1 minute, 15 4/5 seconds. There's a 2-year-old to follow.
Now, he's going to be followed pretty heavily on the tote board. I would imagine, based on the numbers and the impressive margin and the connections, quite frankly, with Steve Asmussen trading, that Echo Again, Mike Battaglia has got the favorite correct in the morning line here. He'll be favored over Damon's Mound, even though Damon's Mound is a stakes winner for Michelle Lovell already. I think people are going to look past that stakes victory and lean towards Echo Again. He goes favored in here, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to 2-year-olds, you'll see that speed figures kind of obliterate so-called class. I mean, Damon's Mound's a nice colt, but if you look at his numbers, he's probably, I think a lot of handicappers say he's really only as good as his number, and Echo Again is faster. And by the way, we saw that video, just saw that. Did he look like he was getting tired of you?
No.
It looked like he was getting tired of me, Jeremy.
No. No, I think, and the pedigree says easily a mile and a 16th
Right.
as well. Damon's Mount's got a good pedigree too. You McGurvin, Louisiana Derby winner, Stroll on the dam side, certainly a miler type pedigree for sure. So I don't think the 2 turns is going to affect Damon's Mound either. I think they're both going to run their race. It's just one might just be more talented than the other. And I think Echo again, the right lean in there as the favorite in the Iroquois Stakes. And we'll see if he gets the road to the Kentucky Derby off to a start that leads to the Kentucky Derby. We are a long way from pay dirt, but he could announce himself as one of the favorites for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile with a victory in the Iroquois. Of course, you had Baffert's horse win out here, Cave Rock or Cave Run? Cave Rock, right? Won here in the Del Mar Futurity recently, kind of horse that would vie for favoritism towards the Breeders' Cup as well if the race was run today. We skip ahead to the 11th race on the card on Saturday at Churchill Downs for our next stakes date, and field of 12 going in the 11th race, the Pocahontas Stakes. This is the fillies version of what we just saw in the Iroquois. 2-year-old fillies going a mile and a 16th in here, Jeff. And now, we talk about a field of 9 and post position might not be that big of a deal and how a race may shake out. Now you get 12 going that same mile and a 16th distance at Churchill with the short run into the first turn. Post position can be a factor in this one. Fillies in this race will mostly be stretching out for the first time around 2 turns for all of them, except Friendly Persuasion, who has the unfortunate deal of drawing the 12 hole. She did go 2 turns at Indiana Graham. A couple horses did run a mile at Ellis Park around the elbow start. And I should say nothing at all, out of nothing at all. I believe that was a Air Supply song, Out of Nothing at All. Is that right?
Maybe.
So
I can't verify that.
Not a big Air Supply fan, apparently. So Out of Nothing at All did also go 2 turns in the sorority last time at Monmouth. But for many of these, they'll be stretching out for the first time. How'd you see the Pocahontas, Jeff?
This is an intriguing race. You've got Wayne Lucas's filly Naughty Gal, who won the Adirondack at Saratoga. Very fast filly, and then just got running in the ground in the spinaway for whatever reason. And she's coming back pretty quick, 13 days. I would imagine that she will be sent to the front. There looks like there's a lot of speed in the race. The one that intrigues me is another gun runner filly, Grand Love. This, again, another Steve Asmussen filly, and similar to the colt that we just talked about. Grand Love did break her maiden first time out at Saratoga and did it well. Now, in that race, and we'll watch it in a second, but Grand Love is a filly that is very quick. She drew off a 1/5 lengths, and she earned a very strong 84 Beyer number, which is fastest in the field. So on the basis of that, I think Grand Love will be probably favored in this race. Now, she didn't finish out all that strongly, but it was a very, very dead track. And what happened in that race was Grand Love made the lead. She relaxed beautifully. She started to quicken in the upper stretch, looked like she was drawing off to win convincingly. And then for some reason, Santana decided to pulverize her with the right-handed stick. And Grand Love got off on a wrong lane, and I think she got mad, quite frankly. And so she kind of slowed up. She was still 5 in front. But I think Grand Love is a very good filly, and I think she's going to prove it in this race. I think she'll run a lot better in this race than she ran in her maiden.
Well, let's see what she's done in the interim since then through the fog up at Saratoga with the workout before heading back to Kentucky. Grand Love working with the aforementioned Echo again, the Asmussen pair.
Yeah, and it looks like she's going just as easily as that colt, and we know what he's like. So for her to come out of her win and breeze like this, 1 minute and 4/5, and doing it just as easily as the colt, who may be the best colt in the country for all we know, that was impressive. So if you get a chance, try to embrace that workout to give you an idea of what Grand Love is. If you want to go back and check out the video of a race, you can do that as well, and you can talk about, or you can see what I was describing. But Grand Love, to me, is, I think, better than the line will show. And if you can get an appreciation of what I think she can do, not only by watching that last breeze that we saw, which took place a few weeks back, but also her race, which I thought was quite extraordinary. I think Grand Love's got a chance to be really good, and we'll see if she can prove it in the Pocahontas.
And to show that I will go to no depth to stop research, Jeff, Out of Nothing at All was the number 2 hit in 1983 on the Billboard chart by Air Supply, to confirm that, but could not topple Bonnie Tyler's Total Eclipse of the Heart to get to the top of the chart.
Okay, good call there.
Let's move on to Woodbine now on Saturday, where it's going to be Woodbine Mile Day, a big card of stakes races north of the border, also stakes action with the Singspiel on Sunday. So a really good day coming up at Woodbine this weekend. And let's give you a little sense of what's going on at Woodbine in terms of our promotions with Express Bet and First Bet. There's a $15,000 hit and split series of payoffs that we're going to be promotions that we're going to be paying off on Saturday at Woodbine. The early pick 4, the early pick 5, the late pick 4, and the late pick 5 all have multi-$1,000 hit and splits totaling $15,000 in all. So look at the early and late pick 4 and pick 5 when you play Woodbine on Saturday. And not only will you take home the pari-mutuel winnings, but you also take home your share of $15,000 in hit and split money. Great promotion. So look at those pick 4s and pick 5s. They're going to involve some of the races that we're going to look at here in terms of our handicapping. As I scroll down, I'm going to get the summer stakes brought up here as we begin our handicapping of 3 races on Saturday from Woodbine. The summer is for the 2-year-olds. This is Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, Grade 1 prep race here. And the race has been pretty significant towards the Breeders' Cup in its short stay with the Juvenile Turf division on Breeders' Cup Day. We've got 7 entered in this spot. Jeff, which way did you turn? We've got some domestic horses from the U.S. We've got some Canadian horses, of course, staying at home. And we've got some shippers from overseas, including Mysterious Night.
I think we all have to pay special attention to any time Charles Appleby sends one over. You may have the stats, Jeremy, but all I know is he's really good. And he knows, not only is he a great trainer, he's not just a great trainer with his shippers. He's a great trainer, high percentage trainer overseas as well. But he really seems to have a knack for knowing which ones will come over and run well. Obviously, he's looking at firm ground type horses, and Mysterious Night, who won a race at Deauville, a straightaway 7 furlong race, the Prix Francois Boutin Stakes Grade 3 for 2-year-olds. He's a big, good-looking, flashy colt, and having won a 1-turn 7 furlong straightaway race at Deauville, you would think that he'd be really in a good spot here on a 1-turn mile for 2-year-olds. And at 6-5 on the morning line with William Buick coming over to ride him, he's going to get lots of play, but he deserves to be. He's already a stakes winner, a group stakes winner. He's fast on figs. His time form numbers are good. I think he just outclasses his field.
Charles Appleby is going to have a loaded hand throughout the card at Woodbine, and of course, Breeders' Cup at Keeneland. You can be sure coming up the first week. The two's interesting in here. 94 Expos. What did the Expos do in 1994 to merit a name? I'm trying to go back and scratch my memory. I don't know. Did they make a run were they even a playoff team in 94? That's right. Larry Walker and company with the 94 Expos.
Maybe. I don't know. We could have looked it up if we cared enough, but we didn't. So
last night at about midnight when I was handicapping this race, I did care enough to think about it. I just didn't care enough to go ahead and proceed and Google it. So maybe somebody out there, one of our listeners, will tell me something good about the 1994 Expos. Why they've got a horse named in their honor. Let's continue our handicapping tour of Woodbine on Saturday as we go from the summer stakes in race number 7, skipping ahead to race number 9. Where it's the Woodbine Mile, the feature race this weekend. It's our Express Bet race of the week. If you sign up for the Express Bet email newsletter, you'll get my full analysis in your email inbox. Get that every week. The newsletter also includes links to great promotions and offers and handicapping content that we provide on the editorial sections at Express Bet and First Bet. Be sure to sign up at expressbet.com for that weekly newsletter. Jeff, the Woodbine Mile, a 1-turn mile with the long run home at Woodbine to the finish line. Interesting race here, no question about it. You've got, just from the very first horse in the past performance, it's because Mighty Heart's going to be a long shot in this race, but you're talking about a Queen's Plate winner, and this could be a historic Queen's Plate Woodbine Mile sweep. And when you talk about the annals of big races at that track, those are the two biggies, and Mighty Heart can put himself in a very select, I believe, solo group of horses who have won the Queen's Plate and the Woodbine Mile. So interesting cast right from the top.
Well, Mighty Heart is 3-0-0-0 on grass, so I'm not sure this is his best surface, but he's 20-1, and he'll have speed. We know that. Mm-hmm. This is a really legitimate win your in type Breeders' Cup race, the Woodbine Mile. In looking at this race, it's easy to look again at Charles Appleby in Modern Games, who we all remember winning a race that we couldn't bet on him, or if we did, we didn't cash in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf.
Don't pull the scab off of wounds, Jesse. There are a lot of people out there right now who are groaning listening to that.
You know, I remember that race only because I was in the press box that day, and I'd written about it on my handicap, and basically I came to the conclusion that Modern Games could not lose. Little good did that do me, but he won. But this year he's been very good. He won the 2,000 guineas in France off the layoff. He couldn't quite stay a mile and 5/16 when he was third in the French Derby. He was favored that day, a little bit out of his element there. A close fifth in the Prix Jean Prat. That's a Group 1 at Deauville, going 7/8. And then his last race in Sussex, he had the misfortune of lining up with Baaid, who is the second highest rated horse in the entire world, only behind Flightline.
Mm-hmm.
Baaid is undefeated and probably will stay that way. His last race of his career will be on Champions Day next month. But Modern Games was second in that race, and you're in a career top 119 time form rating. It was the best race of his life. He ran hard. He had a great trip. He got through every step of the way. He had no excuse, but he ran well. When you consider you can finish that close to Baaid, it's hard to ignore Modern Games. It really is. Even though I want to drop this in real quick, I think Ivar's got a chance too. I mean, that's a good horse. And Ivar was a one-turn horse down in Argentina. All three of his wins there around one turn. And he's backing up now to a one-turn mile. And
very interesting. Yeah.
I think Ivar is going to run his rear end off. If it's good enough to beat Modern Games, it might be. I don't know. But those are the two. I would be really surprised if the winner is not one or the other. But Modern Games, if he runs back to his effort in the Sussex, it's clearly going to be hard to beat.
Let's see it.
Baaid on the extreme right, cruising at the moment, as you might expect. Modern Games under pressure at the cutaway, alcohol free, exploring a run on the far side. Bathrat Leon just gains a little bit of momentum there from the cutaway, leads by 2 lengths, chased by Modern Games. And here is Baaid now, asked the big question on the outside. Baaid cutting them back, Modern Games putting up a fight, but Baaid, this horse has got gears that other horses do not possess, and it's 9 from 9. Baaid and a canter. It wins the Qatar Sussex Stakes from Modern Games.
Modern Games, like you said, he lost nothing in defeat there, and Baaid, exceptional. Speaking of exceptional, Charlie Appleby, you talked about it. His success in North America. He's 15 for 38 when he ships to North America. I mean, that's 39% wins. I believe it's like 64% in the exacta. And at Woodbine, Jeff, he's merely 5 for 7 with a second place finish.
And these are grade 1 races. It's not like he's dropping in from maiden 32 here, I mean, just the first. So he's running the best horses against the toughest we've got. Yeah. And he's like, I mean, Chad Brown might be envious. I don't know. I mean, it's just really impressive for this horse. And he brings them only when they're ready, and he brings them when he knows that they're right and he knows that they're capable of winning. He's just not sending horses just for the sake of it. So Modern Games, Ivar, there's another Euro in here. Simon Crisford's got Finest Sound, who is coming off a good race at Goodwood, beating the neck in the Group 2 in the Celebration Mile. He could be part of the try as well at 10-1, but this is really a good race. Whoever runs 1, 2, or 3 in this race, or 1, 2, or however it shapes up, are going to be factors if they decide to kick on later and go on the Breeders' Cup Mile, because this is a good field. Good field.
I'm interested in Cheryl Spuyten here a little bit. This is a horse who won the big one at Keeneland in the spring, the Maker's Mile. Then disappointed a little bit in the starter two, was kind of placed in some weird spots, went to the dirt. Bullet workout for Roger Atfield, who doesn't work his horse as fast, might be really on edge. I think Cheryl Spuyten is primed to run the best form that we can get from Cheryl Spuyten. Whether or not that's good enough to beat Modern Games, we'll see. I did take the chance because I think we're going to get the price, and that is my pick to win, Cheryl Spuyten. I'm going for the value play in here. And you know me, I'm a stats trends guy sometimes when it can kind of get me away from a price or away from a short price. The last Euro to win this race was Mondelez back in 2015, and there's only been 2 Euros win the Woodbine Mile. and no 3-year-olds have won this race. It used to be the Molson Million, then turned into the Woodbine Mile. Back in the Molson Million days on the dirt, we had 3-year-olds, of course. But since it's over 20 years ago, 1997 was the first year that they went to the turf mile for the Woodbine Mile. No 3-year-old has won it. So that's two things modern games has a little bit against. Not a lot of success for Europeans, and 3-year-olds haven't beaten older horses in this race. But he's clearly the horse to beat. He's the horse I'm using in the exacta box. But I'm going to try to do it with Cheryl Spite. So for me, it's Cheryl Spite to win the exacta box with modern games, with full expectations that modern games race against Baid wipes the turf course with these horses. I mean, I totally get that. But I'll take a little shot because I think with Cheryl Spite, we're going to push, 10-1 there. And I think that's a good price on a talented horse.
You'll get that.
If we can get it.
Yeah.
Also on Saturday at Woodbine, we've got stakes action for the 2-year-old fillies working their way towards the Breeders' Cup in the Grade 1 Natalma. Let's look at the field for that one, race number 10 on the card. Lured 8 of them in here, and many of them are coming out of a common race. It was the Catch a Glimpse Stakes, run over the local turf course here as the local prep. We're going to give you a chance to take a look at the Catch a Glimpse Stakes and see if Jeff likes anything coming out of there, or if he's going to go outside the big prep. Here's a look.
Up the rails, Kahira's Blessing. Down the centre of the track, Wickenheiser and Adora start their runs. Grand Oak trying to grimly hang on here. Cairo Consort, the rail, collecting flatter out wide. Wickenheiser finishing really well, as is Adora. Collecting flatter, Grand Oak, Cairo Consort the inside. Antonio Gallardo, Cairo Consort bursting away. And Cairo Consort wins well. Cairo Consort 2 1/4, Adora. Collecting flatter third, and fourth on the inside, Grand Oak, followed by Wickenheiser.
So 4 of the top 5 in the Catch a Glimpse Stakes are back. They make up half of this 8-horse field for the Natalma Stakes. Jeff, when we get so many common opponents back, you've heard me say this over and over every week pretty much. Do you trust that result, or do you take a fresh face? That's the way you have to evaluate these races that have multiple common opponents. Are we trusting the Catch a Glimpse? Your thoughts on that one, or are we going somewhere else?
Well, after watching that video, I didn't think that was a fluke. I thought Cairo Consort was best of that group. She got through on the inside. The favorite, meanwhile, Wickenheiser, was fanned way out on the outside, but she wasn't really doing anything in the final 16th. I mean, I was hoping to see a little bit more kick from her. The problem I had with Cairo Consort may be, it may not even matter because she is what she is, but the trainer has got 61 starts when last looked, 3 wins, 2 of which was with this filly. So I don't know whether I trust her or the barn, whatever the case may be. Yeah. And they all kind of finished in the heat. But if I had to choose one out of that race, it would be Cairo Consort. She does have a progressive buyer speed figure pattern. Every race she runs has been a little faster. So she continues to improve. And the way she won that race, this race, a mile, I don't think the extra distance will be a 16th and a half a furlong and a half will be any problem for her. So I would say that she's probably going to run well, but she's 2-1, and I don't think I want to take that kind of price from this barn. So I went shopping elsewhere for a filly who's going to have to be a price for me to like her, and she's only 4-1 in the morning line. I'm talking about G. Laurie. Now, I think G. Laurie is a lot better than her first number show. She only earned a 57 buyer when she won her debut at Colonials, but she did it the right way. She won by 6. She made this huge, what I thought, premature move into the far turn. I don't know what the jock was doing, but she swooped the pack, opened up, and won with something left for Graham Motion. Now she makes a jock switch to Franco, and she's going a mile, but she's backing up to a 1-turn race. She's going to get a patient ride, and if she can just produce that good late kick from the top of the stretch to the wire, as opposed to the 3/8 to the wire, she might move forward enough to give these horses a real run for their money. But I'd have to have a lot more than 4-1, and maybe I won't get it. So this race for me is not a great gambling race unless I can get 6, 7, 8-1 on G. Laurie, which I'm not sure I'll get.
She did the secret oath on the far turn in that career.
Yes, exactly.
Right? I mean, that's what we've been seeing out of the Kentucky Oaks winner in a lot of her defeats. But that's to show that it's hard to sustain a move like that. So it was impressive to make that kind of turn move and then still go on and draw off. Those were 2-year-old fillies going a mile and a 16th, and several of them probably not cut out to do so. So the win margin could be exaggerated down at Colonial, but we'll see. I think Graham Motion doesn't bring one up here for nothing. a top turf trainer, and he's got one who's got some ability there, and he ran some good horses at Colonial Downs, not just second string types. So she could be the one, G. Laurie. But like Jeff said, keep an eye on the tote board. We like horses a lot of times, but we don't like prices that are attached to those horses. And you have to be, you have to be disciplined. If you look at a horse and you say, I want 5-6 to 1 on this horse, then you got to stay disciplined. Now, I know it's tough to be price dependent nowadays with the call money coming in late and the late odds drops and stuff like that. You're waiting around and you're like 1 minute to post and you say, okay, it looks like I'm going to get my price. And sometimes you still don't. So that makes price shopping and win betting a little more difficult than it was, not a lot more difficult than it was, say 5-10 years ago. You don't see numbers painted on the tote. You remember the old expression that number's been painted on the tote for like 20 minutes? Nobody's painted on the tote anymore when 85% of the handle comes on the last click or two. So keep an eye on the price, do the best you can to get the value. But, if you see this horse is already 3 to 1 and it's coming up towards post time, you're not going to get your 5 or 6 probably that you're looking for. So keep an eye on the price.
The other thing is that I'm less of a win player and more of a pick 3, pick 4 player. Mm-hmm. And if I knew that G. Laurie was going to go off at 5 to 2, but she was 6-8 to 1 on the morning line, I would play her in the rolling exotics, because if these kinds of horses tend to play closer to their morning line, believe it or not, than they do the tote. So, but at 4 to 1, she's probably going to play in the rolling exotics too. There's no edge there. People say, "Oh, she's 4 to 1. I got to throw her in." So they throw her in, and they use her on a horse that probably wouldn't even know about. So I'm not sure if there's going to be value here, but I definitely feel it's going to be an interesting race to watch, because I'd like to see somebody, whoever it may be, step up and do something and give the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies race a little bit of a boost there.
That's a good tip that you gave too. If you think a morning line is faulty and that it's too high and the horse is going to be bet lower than that morning line, get involved in the multi-race bets, but you can't wait until that race because everybody sees what it is. The races that get to that horse,
Exactly.
3 races. Like if it's happening in race number 8, you got to start attacking in races like 6, 7, 8, races 7, 8, in the doubles, the pick 3s. If there's a pick 4, so that's a good handicapping situation. You go through, you like a horse, you see the morning line, you say, no way that's going to happen. Now you need to reverse engineer, right? You see, okay, what races go through this one that people aren't going to see the difference in the tote yet? If it's buried in a pick 4, pick 5, pick 3s, obviously, that end in that race. So, try to strategize that way. Even if it's a pick 3, let's say the 8th race, 6, 7, and 8, 7, 8, and 9. You got 2 shots then in the pick 3 to try to attack a situation like that. So try to get, strike. It's when do you feel like you have an edge? You have an edge that you see this horse is going to be shorter. You say everybody's going to see it. Not everybody's going to see it. And a lot of multi-race players are going to be lazy and not include because the price is too high in the morning line, that sort of thing. Even if 10% of the people don't see, you're going to have a 10% edge.
Yeah.
And that's what you're looking for. You're looking to find any edge you can as a horse player. Let's continue our handicapping of the Saturday stakes races around the country with a pair at Belmont. Jockey Club Derby, Jockey Club Oaks on the program for this weekend. A couple grass races. It's Belmont at the Big A, back BAQ, the abbreviation I think they're going with in the racing form. We've seen it Belmont at the Big A listed that way. But if you're betting on Express Bet and First Bet, you're looking for Belmont at Aqueduct. That's the way it's set up in the tote system here for Express Bet and Aqueduct. So it's Belmont at Aqueduct for First Bet and Express Bet. So, Jeff, if you're going to play the racing this weekend and those 2 big turf stakes races, 7th race is going to have a short price favorite in McCulloch. This Chad Brown trainee comes off a 2nd place finish last time out in the Saratoga Oaks Invitational against With the Moonlight. With the Moonlight's not back for this one, so McCulloch now takes center stage. Any beating her?
I guess she's the logical favorite. I think she's a good filly, not a great filly. She's kind of a one-pace type of horse. This going a mile and 3/8. It's a different context from the most of these are used to. They're going to go really slow, I think, the first part. I mean, Jeremy, would you be surprised if you saw like a 52.5 or something here? Pratt will probably be put beside herself on the front end because she just won an allowance race there. She's got a chance for sure.
Right.
McCulloch is going to be sitting somewhere in the middle, like she was in her last start in the Saratoga Oaks when she when they just crawled the first part, and when they were asked, she asked to quicken. She tried, just couldn't get it done. There is an interesting European invader here, a French-bred filly who's done her most recent racing in Germany, and she's actually a Group 1 winner. She won the German Oaks, which doesn't really tell you all that much, other than she was 16-1 in that race, coming off a third-place finish in a group race and a win before that, a stakes win. So it probably was a decent sort of field for Germany. You get a lot of horses that ship in for that race because of the group status and the $500,000 purse.
Yeah,
and she won it nicely. She had good tactical speed. She was always close up. She actually took control early, opened up. And what we're going to show this race, Jeremy, but I want people to watch the race. And it looked like she was life and death to hang on. But then if you watch the gallop out, she re-broke. And that race was at a mile and 3/8. I know she can get the trip. So, Frankie Dettori coming over to ride her. So Toscana Belle is her name. She's number 4, listed at 7-2. And I kind of think she's got a pretty good chance to come over here and do some damage.
I'm pretty sure, I'm confident 100%. This is the first time I've ever said this on the podcast. To Düsseldorf we go.
In Position kommt. Toscana Bell aber führt das Feld auf die letzten 400 Meter. Toscana Bell. Namada ist frei und greift an. Mountaha kommt näher. In Wagnis gebracht und außen auch der Angriff von Milady. Und Milady wird auch stark in Toscana Bell. Ganz außen Milady. Und Wagnis ist auch noch da. Milady wird immer stärker an der Außenseite. Kommt hier näher. Aber Toscana Bell innen noch vorn. In der Mitte Wagnis jetzt. Toscana Bell und Wagnis. Toscana Bell gewinnt die Diana vor Wagnis. Milady dann Mountaha, Nachtrose.
Well, Jeff, 3 years of college German at the University of Oklahoma got me Toscana Bell out of that replay. That's the only thing I got out of it, even with the German that I took.
Well, that's a good race. And it earned a 105 time form, which is, it makes her a really solid fit here. She took over, according to the chart, she took over early in that race and then led all the way. And that's not the easiest way to win in Germany with that long stretch. But she did it. She's lightly raced. She's won 3 out of 5. She has actually not won. I mean, she has won off the pace. So that Frankie obviously has that option if he decides to use it. And in a race, I mean, look, this is a grade 3. It's 700,000, but I don't think there was any world beaters in this race. So maybe, she comes over here. The trainer is from what I understand, is a good trainer. Wouldn't be here just for the sake of being here. So I'm going to try Toscana Bell to pull off a mild upset in the Jockey Club Oaks Invitational.
Hey, if they can run Belmont at Aqueduct, we can show German replays from Dusseldorf on our podcast. I think anything's game now.
Yep.
To Belmont, the Jockey Club Derby, race number 10, feature race on the Saturday card, co-featured with the Jockey Club Oaks, of course. Field of 6 in this one as well, and some names that are a little more familiar, but we still have international intrigue in here with Artican on the outside, and Nation's Pride, a horse we've seen over here twice already for the Belmont and Saratoga Invitational Derbies. Classic Causeway with the speed to the inside. Jeff, he's become a turf horse since going to Kenny McPeak post Triple Crown. Interesting field here, only a field of 6, but a little intrigue about it.
Well, we saw Classic Causeway pull it off an upset in the Belmont Derby when he wasn't really respected, and he went well. Came back and he's 5-1 after just beating the same field and ran a good third. But in watching that race, Jeremy, I really did not get the impression that he was going to ever beat Nation's Pride again. I mean, Nation's Pride got beat by him at the Belmont Derby, but the way Nation's Pride came out of that race and won the Saratoga Derby tells me, at least in my opinion, that he's just a better horse in Classic Causeway and has enough tactical speed to always lay relatively close and then go get him when he wants to. This was a colt that was well backed in the Epsom Derby. He was only 7-1 in a 17-runner field because he had won his previous 4 very impressively. Did not run well at Epsom, but he's a good horse. And again, another Charles Appleby horse, and Dettori coming over here to ride him, who obviously rode him in the Belmont Derby. So for me, Nation's Pride. Now he's even money on the morning line. You're not going to get rich, but there's no real reason for him not to run as well, if not better than he did last time, because he's come back and breezed well at Saratoga since that race. He didn't go back to Europe and come back. He's always been here. So I really do think Nation's Pride is going to do the same thing in this race that he did at Saratoga.
Well, let's see it.
The field comes off the turn and enters the stretch. And it is Classic Causeway. And on the outside, Nation's Pride, who is all out. Annapolis is now kicking in as they come down for the 8th pole. Here is Nation's Pride up to take the lead from Classic Causeway. Annapolis is third. They're coming on for the finish, and it will be the Irish bred Nation's Pride to win the $1 million Grade 1 Caesars Saratoga Derby.
Nation's Pride will go for the 3rd trip here to the U.S. this year and try to pull it off Saturday in the Jockey Club Derby. So that's a wrap for our 8 stakes races that we handicap here on the podcast. I want to remind you, stakes action on Saturday night at Canterbury Park. A couple stakes there at Shakopee, where we've got a $10 money back special in the full card with first bet and express bet at Canterbury Park on Saturday night. So closing night of the season. It's been a great partnership with them, with First being the official app of Canterbury Park. And again, $10 money back special means your win bets, if they finish 2nd or 3rd, you get up to $10 back in your account. So play some Canterbury Park on Saturday night one last time before they're off until next May. I guess usually the season starts in Minnesota in May. So a long, cold winter there. One more chance, too, to listen to the great race caller, Paul Allen. He is such a good announcer, just fantastic race caller. Of course, the voice of the Minnesota Vikings. So when he hangs up the mic for Canterbury for the season, Jeff would be a little busy with the Vikes, but he's a treasure. When you talk about small track announcers, Paul Allen is up there at the top of any list.
Yeah, he grew up about 10 miles up the road from where I am. We used to go to Clipper games together, and because he's a big basketball fan, played at Glendora High. Good guy. But I hope he has his voice back, because after beating the Packers the way they did, I think he might need a week to recover. He might, maybe he'll enlist his son to do some phone calling for the last weekend, because he's got the Vikings where he wants them now, and that's going to be they're a good team. I mean, there's no flukes there.
This is a fun time though, because it's always overreaction to week 1, right? If your team's played bad, oh my God, this is gonna be the worst season ever. And if your team played well, we're going to the Super Bowl. It's overreaction week, and we get that in horse racing a lot too. One performance, right? A horse runs one bad race, everybody's off the bandwagon. They run one good race, and everybody's ready to ride them out. It's probably a good lesson in any sports fandom, and certainly sports gambling, is don't emphasize the last effort you saw as much as you do. I mean, we all tend to do it.
That's what I'm telling myself after watching Buffalo steamroll my Rams. But good news, we get to play Atlanta this week, so I guess we can get our confidence back.
Yeah, you can get healthy there real quick. Let's review the races that we saw this weekend on the podcast. 3 from Churchill Downs, of course, 5 stakes races in all. Saturday in Louisville, 3 from Woodbine, and additional stakes on that card as well. But the Woodbine Mile and the Tama trio of grade 1s that we took a look at. Belmont and Aqueduct, we have the 2 races, the Jockey Club Oaks and Derby, and we're looking for Charlie Appleby to continue his dominance when he sends horses over here to the U.S. Don't forget $15,000 in pick 4 and pick 5 hit and split promotions Saturday at Woodbine. So play those multi-race wagers at Woodbine, and you've got the Canterbury Park, Shakopee Juvenile, and 2 stakes on the card Saturday night there. We also have some stakes racing around the first family of tracks this weekend. Golden Gate Fields has a turf distaff race on the grass on Saturday, so be sure to check out Mac Dinnerman and his picks there at the Golden Gate website. And down in South Florida, we've got stakes action as well on Saturday, so check out our buddy Brian Natto and Ron Nicoletti, their stuff at GulfstreamPark.com. They'll have all the handicapping insights you need to play those stakes around the family of tracks. Jeff, Woodbine Mile this week, and next week we keep this September swing going. Final thoughts as we close it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good week of racing for sure. Pennsylvania is going to have a great card next week at Parks.
Yeah.
Oh, that's salty. Really, really great racing. And then after that, Santa Anita goes back into action. I'm looking forward to a great Santa Anita meeting. Got our workout crew getting all the workouts here at Santa Anita. So we'll be prepped and ready, and we'll have all the ammunition we'll need when racing resumes here in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, again, good racing around the country, critical racing as we get closer and closer to those final preps and those winning your in races for Breeders' Cup.
Yeah.
So good gambling, good racing, good times.
XBTV will be your home for all those workouts leading up to the Breeders' Cup. And where else can you follow the great flight line better than at XBTV? Every one of his works, he'll be at Santa Anita before he heads to Kentucky, and you'll be able to see all those each morning. Be sure to follow XBTV on social media, at WatchXBTV on Twitter, and of course on the main website at xbtv.com. Follow Flightline and all the great horses throughout the course of this month as they get towards either a prep for the Breeders' Cup or the Breeders' Cup itself, as some of those horses are in the clubhouse and waiting on Championship Day. That's going to do it for this week's First Call podcast. On behalf of Jeff Siegel, I'm Jeremy Plonk. Good luck at the races. And we'll talk to you on Tuesday on It's Official, our weekly recap show. Until then, goodbye, everybody.